A dangerous precedent is being set under the guise of tackling discrimination. The UK government is pushing forward with a plan that critics warn could become a Trojan horse for silencing free speech. Behind closed doors, ministers are shaping policies that may shield one religion from scrutiny while restricting the fundamental right to express dissent. In today's video, we'll be breaking down Angela Rayner's latest plan, exposing what it really means for freedom of speech, and also covering the latest headlines from across the country. But before we dive in, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the stories that truly matter. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner is moving ahead with plans to establish a council on Islamophobia, which aims to define the term officially and advise ministers on tackling anti-Muslim discrimination. While the government insists this is about addressing hate, critics argue it could severely impact free speech, effectively introducing a blasphemy law by stealth. A report from The Telegraph reveals that this 16-member council will operate under the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, MHCLG. Former Conservative Attorney General Dominic Grieve has been recommended to chair the body due to his past work on anti-Muslim hate. Grieve has previously been involved with Citizens UK's Commission on Islam, a group that promotes dialogue between Muslim and non-Muslim communities. He also wrote the foreword for a 2018 all-party parliamentary group report, which controversially defined Islamophobia as a form of racism that targets expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. This definition was adopted by the Labour Party, but it remains highly controversial. Critics argue that its vague wording could be used to suppress legitimate criticism of Islam, effectively functioning as a de facto blasphemy law. Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick has been one of the most vocal opponents of this initiative. He warns that this definition is deeply flawed, stating, "Of course, we should tackle anti-Muslim hate wherever it occurs, but this definition is a Trojan horse for a blasphemy law protecting Islam. Why do Labour MPs think it's acceptable to mock Christianity but not Islam?" Despite the backlash, Grieve himself has expressed support for the APPG report. In his foreword, he argued that the definition makes an important contribution to the debate on Islamophobia and could inspire positive action. When asked whether he would accept a role on Rayner's council, Grieve told The Telegraph that he had not yet received a formal offer, but didn't rule it out. He said, "If I can contribute constructively in a nonpartisan way, I would consider it. However, defining Islamophobia remains extremely difficult due to concerns around freedom of expression." Alongside the Islamophobia Council, there are reports that Rayner's department is also considering setting up a separate advisory body on anti-Semitism. While some welcome the move, others, especially within the Jewish community, question whether such a council is necessary. Paul Stott, co-author of a policy exchange report on extremism, warned that the government is sending worrying signals regarding its willingness to restrict blasphemy laws and adopt a problematic definition of Islamophobia. If the government stifles free speech under the guise of tackling Islamophobia, it would be terrible news for democracy. In response to the growing controversy, an MHCLG spokesperson reaffirmed the government's stances, stating, "All forms of religious and racial hatred have no place in our society. We regularly engage with faith communities to promote unity and are exploring a more cohesive approach to tackling Islamophobia and anti-Semitism." However, many questions remain about whether this council will serve its intended purpose or whether it will be used to shut down legitimate criticism and restrict free expression. This entire situation highlights the growing tension between free speech and government intervention in the UK. The key question remains, where do we draw the line between tackling discrimination and protecting freedom of expression? Critics warn that Labour's approach could lead to censorship, setting a precedent where certain beliefs and ideologies are beyond critique. If the government truly wants to combat hatred, it must ensure that these measures do not infringe on fundamental democratic freedoms. Meanwhile, this debate is unfolding against the backdrop of political upheaval, with Reform UK surging in the polls, posing a serious challenge to both Labour and the Conservatives. Could Nigel Farage really be on his way to Downing Street? We'll break that down next. The establishment of the Islamophobia Council is a defining moment for UK politics. While Labour argues that it will protect Muslim communities, critics fear it will be used to curtail free speech and suppress dissent. At the same time, Reform UK's rise in popularity is shaking up the political landscape, raising questions about Britain's future leadership. What do you think? Is this council a necessary step to combat discrimination, or is it a dangerous overreach that threatens free speech? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for the latest updates on UK politics. Thanks for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.